So this is the 2024 Nissan Z Nismo, which, if you didn't know, Nismo actually stands for Nissan Motorsports, which means this is the out-of-the-box track-ready version of the Nissan Z. Well, it has a starting price of $65,000, which is $23,000 more than the base Z. So what exactly does that get you? Well, for starters, you feature an exclusive cosmetic package to improve downforce and cooling. You get more power under the hood so the car's faster in a straight line. You get a significantly stiffer chassis for better high cornering speeds around the track, bigger brakes so the car in fact stops faster, some interior exclusive changes and even Sport Plus drive modes, and it's only available with an automatic transmission. But before you get too upset, I'll talk about the details and why the automatic is actually faster around the track and why they picked it for the Nismo. So in this video, we'll go through the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, we'll take it for a drive. So the Nissan Z Nismo features a new look that I think cosmetically looks better, but has also been improved for functionality. Our particular car here is finished in the Nismo exclusive Stealth Gray, which I think looks absolutely incredible. It's this grayish blue hue. You'll also notice that Nismo red stripe, which runs around the entire car. That is specific to the Nismo and will come on every single car regardless of what color you choose. Let's go ahead and start with the front. We have this nice pointy front end, which has this absolutely massive grille. Now they've also added this very thin mesh to get as much airflow as possible through there, which will lower your overall operating temps and improve endurance on the track. So we love to see that. We do have a Nismo badge as well. Love to see badges. Huge fan of keeping those on the car and presenting your sporty Nismo option. We do have the same headlight, but below you'll notice these winglets right here. Now these actually act like canards, so they're providing downforce for the front and one of the many aero features we'll see on the Nismo Z, and they blend into these sort of wide body pieces here, which you'll find front and rear over the wheel wells, which is kind of cool. We'll talk more about the tires, brakes, and suspension later. We have a Nismo exclusive side sill here as well. You'll notice that the roof and the mirrors are actually this gloss black, but we still have the Nismo red stripe on our heated and powered mirrors. We feature a double bubble roof up here. We have this sort of metallic silver finish as well, which is a nice accent change. We do get keyless entry. We have the rear Z badge, of course, our hatch, which works for functional storage. But here is very cool. This is the Nismo exclusive spoiler. It's not shared with the performance pack. It is actually wider and taller, providing more downforce. So very cool there. As we come around to the rear here, you'll notice the rear end has been changed significantly. And again, I think for the better. We get more Nismo badging, but we also get a dual exhaust exit with a sport muffler, and it sounds phenomenal. Now, the only problem, though, is look how far back the exhausts are. I think if they extended them another inch or two, it would fill that gap and it would just look that much better. Again, same taillights as the previous Gen Z and same absolutely massive gas cap, which has a very tiny filler on the inside. Overall, that's a quick look at the exterior. Under the hood is a twin-turbocharged 3-liter V6, just like the standard Z, now producing 420 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque, which is a 20 horsepower and 34 pound-feet of torque increase over the standard Z. The engine's horsepower enhancements were achieved through a combination of improved cooling, revised electronic wastegate control providing increased turbocharger boost and turbine speed, and an independent ignition spark timing strategy inspired by the Nissan GT-R Nismo. Now that V6 is only offered with a 9-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters, upgraded and now upshifts 27% faster and downshifts 50% faster with new software and revised clutch packs. And you're probably saying, oh my gosh, automatic only. I know, I prefer manuals as much as the next person, but in this case, the Nismo is the track-focused model, so you'll want whatever gets you faster around the track. And in this case, it's going to be the automatic transmission, so that's why they have it. Now, all of that is paired with a mechanical limited slip differential sending power to the rear wheels, and it also features things like the Nismo exclusive Sport Plus drive mode and Nismo tuned launch control. Now the Nissan Z Nismo weighs 3,704 pounds and achieves 0 to 60 in just 4.1 seconds, has a quarter mile time of 12.6 seconds, and a limited top speed of 155 miles per hour. Economy-wise, it has an EPA-rated 17 miles per gallon city, 24 miles per gallon highway, and 19 miles per gallon combined. So given that it has a 16.4 gallon fuel tank, it should average 311.4 miles per tank. That being said, with an average of spirited, enthusiastic driving of of mixed driving here in Phoenix, Arizona, I've never fallen below 21 miles per gallon. So I think if you take your Z on road trips, you'll get a farther range than that, which is a great thing to hear, while also having the track opportunities of your Nissan Z Nismo. So let's talk about what's going on underneath the Nismo Z. Now, obviously we feature Nismo tuned suspension, which features aluminum double wishbones in the front with a multi-link setup in the rear. We also get stiffer bushings, additional bracing to the chassis, a stiffer spring rate, and unique front and rear stabilizer bars. Now, on top of that, we also get Nismo tuned power steering, four-wheel disc brakes, but the front actually gets the Nismo exclusive akebono front 15-inch brake rotors and brake calipers, which also feature a more aggressive, durable brake pad that is supposed to hold up to the added heat and stress of taking a car on the track. And these are actually 4 pistons, and then you have 2-piston brake calipers in the rear. So that's all great stuff there. On top of that, we get these gorgeous looking Rays 19-inch wheels, which are finished in gloss black and even feature the Nismo badging on the side. But it's also better than that, because the rear has actually been widened by 10 millimeters, or about half an inch, which means you get wider tires, therefore a wider contact patch and more grip while driving around on the track. And from the factory, Nissan equips the Z with these Dunlop GT600 Sport Max tires. And these are actually a specially made version just for the Nissan Z Nismo that are based on the same tire used for the Nissan GTR Nismo. So I think that's pretty cool. And it's clear that Nissan was very focused on stiffening the car to make it better for track use. So moving on to the interior of the Nissan Z Nismo, we open it up and we can see it's fairly similar to the standard Z, but it does have a variety of Nismo exclusive changes to improve performance. Starting with probably the most important are these Nismo Recaro seats, which feature alcantara inserts as well, but heavy bolstering to hold you in place while you're at high G's cornering on the track, and even feature Nismo there in the headrest, which is a very nice touch. The steering wheel itself has also been changed. You'll find alcantara on the outside, and this nice red leather piece at the top here, which will let you know where the 12 o'clock line is and make sure you're holding the steering wheel straight. Also important for the track. We also feature red stitching and things like that. The doors themselves also have alcantara in it. And you'll notice that we have our window switches, power mirror controls, and an 8-speaker Bose sound system. This illuminated sill here is also a nice feature. We do have the optional floor mats, which are branded Nismo. And then we do have aluminum trimmed performance pedals as well, which comes on the Nismo Z. Let's go ahead and hop in the car here and see what else we have going on. So immediately right off the bat, we also have these Nismo red engine start stop button and drive mode. So if we go ahead and start the car, the other cool thing you'll notice is we get a Nismo startup. How cool is that? So obviously this receives its own digital gauge cluster that even features a little Nismo Z there in the middle of the screen as well. You can see the Nismo red stripe, Nismo branded gauges, all very cool stuff. But that's not where they draw the line for the Nismo goodies. There's actually some optional performance pieces we can find from in here as well. For example, if we mess with the drive modes, we actually have a standard drive mode, but we can bump it up into sport, which is also shared with the standard Z. And this is a great drive mode if you just want to drive it around the town, or maybe you find a curvy road. This is going to be a great drive mode that'll still shift all the way into 9 on the freeway. However, we can go up one more to Sport Plus. Now, Sport Plus is a Nismo exclusive drive mode. And one of the things I love about this drive mode is it's actually legit. So often with some of these drive modes, they just never feel quite right. But in this case, this Sport Plus is in fact the track mode. I love the way it works. If you get onto the freeway with Sport Plus on and you're speeding up to 65 miles per hour, the car will actually not shift out of fifth because it's holding the optimum revs. And most times these things still shift too soon, but not the case here. The Sport Plus drive mode is properly good in the Nissan Z. Now, there are some other features which are sort of standard here as well. We do have, of course, a digital gauge display here, which can be adjusted to show different things. You also get a G-force meter as well, and of course you get shift lights as well, which are programmable. So lots of cool stuff in there, including your fuel economy and other safety assists. Of course, you get intelligent cruise control, illuminated lighting on the steering wheel here, all sorts of things like that that you would kind of come to expect on cars these days. Now, I want to point you to something that's super cool and basically exclusive to the Zs in some sense, and that's going to be these gauges up here. Now, we have a boost gauge, which is kind of expected for a turbocharged car, but next to that is a turbo speed gauge. That's probably something you haven't seen before. Now, a turbo speed gauge is a sensor that's actually in the turbos that is reading the actual rotation of the turbo's turbines. Now, why is that important? Well, in a lot of instances, turbos can do something called overspeeding, where it revs too fast and it can damage the turbo, or even worse, damage the engine. Now, in this case, engineers will usually have to improve some sort of safety margin to make sure that the turbo doesn't overspeed and damage things. With a turbo speed gauge, Nissan is better able to keep track of what the turbos are doing and therefore not leave any performance on the table and get more out of their engine, which is a fantastic feature there and a very cool thing to look at. You'll never really need to reference it for anything, but it's cool that it's on there and you can look at it. We also have a battery voltage gauge next to that. We do have a big touchscreen here with some physical buttons. This, of course, has Bluetooth, navigation, Sirius XM, and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so that's all good there. We do have our automatic climate controls and our manual controls below, some storage with some USB ports, and then our shifter here in the middle for our automatic transmission, which works kind of like a computer mouse. So if you go ahead and push it down, you're in drive, push it down again, manual, which means you can use the paddle shifters that are attached to the back of the steering wheel, very nice, and you just push the button for park. One of the other cool features is an actual handbrake. You don't see this in new cars very often. It's usually electronic, but Nissan knows they're enthusiasts, so you have an actual handbrake. I should also point out that this is padded, so your knee can rest on it comfortably and not hurt. So that's a nice quality of life feature as well to spend more time driving your Z. We do have a trunk pop. One cup holder is open, but you can slide this back to reveal your second, and you push the button, open it up for storage. Behind there, in each seat has its own little storage box, and of course you have the hatch for storage as well. Looking at the top, we have an auto dimming mirror with garage controls. Obviously our sun visors, lights, SOS numbers, all that type of stuff. It's a quick look. It's a relatively simple interior, but it has more exclusive Nismo features that I think add a lot of value to this car. So what's it like to drive the Nissan Z Nismo? Well, honestly, it's a fantastic car. I absolutely love the way that this car drives. The stiffness is the first thing that stands out to you when you get behind the wheel, and I think it's perfect for a street car. It's not overwhelming to make you not want to drive the car, but it's rewarding in the sense that the car is so stable at speed as you come around the turns. The Sport Plus mode is great as well. That's the standard automatic mode that I recommended for the track. It won't shift too early on you, and I really appreciate that. I genuinely believe you could be fast around the track in the automatic only mode. That being said, you can also use the paddle shifters, and in this car, as you just saw there, shift, lightning fast with how quick the paddle shifters are. I wish they were clicky, but that's just a personal preference, but they're so usable and so good. The brakes are great as well. You can stop super quick. That wasn't even full brake there. They can be a little bit touchy at low speeds, but that's not a big deal. You're supposed to be at speed anyways. The overall interaction with the car is fantastic. Visibility is actually pretty good for a car that's a fastback, even can check your blind spots. All in all, it's genuinely a joy to drive this car. Power delivery feels like it's available at all times. I really enjoy it. I also like this. The fact that your blind spot monitor is actually on the inside of the car is fantastic. It makes it easier to see out of the corner of your eye and less effort on your behalf as the driver. But man, what a great car. I would love to take this on the track and see what it's truly capable of, but it's a lot of fun in the back roads too. So in conclusion, the 2024 Nissan Z Nismo is an absolutely incredible car. I love this thing. Now, it is very expensive, but I think the passion and the engineering to really improve this car, even so far as to use components inspired by the Nissan GT-R, a significantly more expensive car than this, I think speaks volumes about how special this car is. I think the stiffness is actually perfect with its current setup to do both street driving and take it to the track. That being said, if you were to buy it as a dedicated track car, I think it might need to be a little bit stiffer. But as it sits from the factory, it is perfect to do both street and track driving. Now, of course, I do have to touch on the automatic transmission thing again. That's a big hard point for this car. A lot of people seem to be not a fan of it. But at the end of the day, if it's a track car, it should have whatever makes it fastest around the track, which in this case is the automatic transmission. You can always buy a standard 6-speed in the standard Z. So there's always that available, and that comes with the performance pack and its own individual upgrades. It's just not quite as cool or as fast around a track as the NISMO Z. So with that, that's going to be the end of the video. If you enjoyed it and could hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it. Consider dropping a comment below letting me know what you think about the new Nissan NISMO Z. And of course, get subscribed if you enjoy content like this. With that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.